And now we will continue in our topic of sensors in robots. So next sensor is the range sensor. So range sensor is implemented in the end effector of a robot to calculate the distance between the sensor and the work part. So the value for the distance can be given by the workers on visual data. So it can evaluate the size of images and analysis of common objects. So the range is measured using the sonar receivers and transmitters or two TV cameras. Next type is the tactile sensors. So a sensing device that specifies the contact between an object and sensor is considered as the tactile sensor. So tactile sensors are often in everyday object such as elevator buttons and lamps which dim or brighten by touching the base. So there are example of these tactile sensors. So there are also innumerable applications for tactile sensors of which most people are not even aware of. So the tactile sensor can be sorted into two key types. The first one is touch sensor and next one is force sensor. Okay, the next light sensor. So light sensor is used to detect light and create a voltage difference. That means it is detecting the light input and giving some type of potential difference as the output. So the two main light sensors generally used in robots are photoresistor and photovoltaic cells. So some other kind of light sensors are phototubes, phototransistors, CCDs. Okay, but they are not much used. Most commonly, photoresistor and photovoltaic cells are used. Now discussing both of them. So photoresistor is a type of resistor whose resistance varies with a change in light intensity. So more light leads to less resistance and less light leads to more resistance. Means light that is varying the resistance. Inversely, the inexpensive sensors can be easily implemented in most light dependent robots. So they are also cost effective as well. Okay, now another type, that is a photovoltaic cell, very common. Other videos I've also posted on the same photovoltaic cells. You can refer to that. Okay, then these photovoltaic cells convert solar radiation into electrical energy. This is especially helpful if our plan is to build a solar robot. So although photovoltaic cell is considered as an energy source, so an intelligent implementation combined with transistors and capacitors can convert this into a sensor. If the cell itself is one type of sensor, then it is combined with other devices to form a complete sensing unit. Diagrams here they show photocells. I think we are very much common and nowadays, so we can see them. Okay, next is the photoregisters. Next quantity is the sound sensor. So as the name suggests, this sensor most commonly it is a microphone. It detects the sound and returns a voltage proportional to the sound level. A simple robot can be designed to navigate based on the sound it receives. Because of that sound, that is the input. So imagine a robot which turns right for one clap and turns left for two claps. So complex robots can use the same microphone for speech and voice recognition. Now implementing sound sensors is not as easy as light sensors because sound sensors generate a very small voltage difference which should be amplified to generate measurable voltage change. Next is a temperature sensor. So these are ICs, the integrated circuits. So tiny temperature sensor ICs provide voltage difference for a change in temperature. So this is one method for measuring temperature. So NTC thermistor, okay, can be assembled in housing in a variety of configurations for temperature sensing, measurement, detection, indicator, monitoring, and control. So thermistors, basically they are heat sensitive resistors. Thermistor. Again, negative temperature coefficient usually they are having. So thermistor temperature sensor probe assemblies can conveniently attach to or be an integral part of any system to monitor or control temperature. The primary factors which determine the optimum configuration of a thermistor assembly are the operating environment, mounting, and time. So applications for temperature sensing include air temperature sensors, surface temperature sensors, and immersion temperature sensor. So housing for air temperature sensors are often simple, inexpensive devices such as molded plastic shells, deep drawn brass or aluminum cylinders, or even stainless steel tubes. So here are we are using this type of temperature sensors. Next is the contact sensor. So contact sensors are those which require physical contact against other objects. To trigger. So a push button switch, limit switch, or tactile bumper switch are all examples of contact sensor. As there is a contact, they will give a signal. So these sensors are mostly used for obstacle avoidance robots. So when these switches hit an obstacle, it triggers the robot to do a task which can be, most commonly it can be reversing, then turning, switching on a LED, or stopping. So such type of task it will do as there is a contact with some type of obstruction. There are also capacitive contact sensors which react only to human touch. Okay, then okay, due to animal touch, what is the effect, that is not sure. Okay, so touch screen smartphones available these days use capacitive touch sensors. Okay, then contact sensors can be easily implemented, but the drawback is that they require physical contact. Next is the voltage sensor. So they typically convert lower voltages to high voltages, okay, or higher to lower. So common example is operational amplifier. So there a low voltage is there, and the amplifier that is amplifying, increasing the voltage. So higher voltage, that is the output. So few voltage sensors are used to find the potential difference between two ends. So these ends we call as voltage comparator. It is comparing the reference. Even a simple LED can act as a voltage sensor which can detect a voltage difference and light up. Okay, next is the current sensor. So current sensors are electronic circuits which monitor the current flow in a circuit and output either a proportional voltage or a current. So most current sensors output an analog voltage between 0 to 5 volt, and this can be further processed using